Video opens with a slow, painterly shot of a lone, massive figure, Thorkell, standing on a misty battlefield after a skirmish. The air is still. He is not celebrating, merely breathing, a faint, almost imperceptible smile on his face. The sounds are muted. The whisper of wind, the distant caw of a raven. Voiceover. ## Phase 1. The hook. Have you ever felt the slow, creeping chill of succeeding at something you no longer love? It is a quiet dread, a private winter of the soul. You are good at what you do. Perhaps you are even praised for it. You climb the ladder, you hit the targets, you solve the problems. But the motion is mechanical, the victory's hollow. The fire that once drove you has cooled to embers, and now, only the gray ash of competence remains. This is a particular kind of prison, when you build yourself with every success. It is a malady of the masterful, a paradox of proficiency. Let us call it, for our purposes, the curse of the capable. It is the burden of the expert who has forgotten how to be a student, the artist who has forgotten how to play. But what if this curse could be broken? What if the path to reclaiming your passion was not to find a new purpose, but to change the very nature of your struggle? In this video, we will journey into the mind of one of the most enigmatic warriors ever put to page or screen, Thorkell the Tall from Vinland Saga. Stay with us, and you will learn how to find your own worthy opponent, and how to laugh in the face of your own beautiful, necessary defeats. Scene shifts to a series of quick, visceral but artistic shots of Thorkell in battle. Not just the violence, but the expressions. A wide-eyed look of surprise, a booming laugh as he is struck, the sheer physical presence of him moving through the world. ## Phase 2. The problem. Let me speak to you directly, for I suspect you know this feeling intimately. You stand at the precipice of a task. A project for work, a creative endeavor, a difficult conversation. You know, with near certainty, that you have the skills to complete it. You have done this 100 times before. You can see the path from beginning to end, a straight, gray line. And the thought of walking it fills you with a profound sense of weariness. It is not the fear of failure that stops you. It is the boredom of predictable success. You feel like a ghost haunting the architecture of your own life. You execute the plan, you say the right words, you deliver the expected result. You receive the praise, the payment, the promotion. And you feel nothing. The applause sounds like it's coming from the other side of a thick, stone wall. Think of the musician who can play a concerto with flawless technical precision, but whose heart is silent while their fingers move. Or the writer who knows all the rules of story structure, who can craft a perfect plot, but has forgotten the simple, terrifying thrill of facing a blank page with no idea what comes next. You begin to resent the very skill you have spent a lifetime cultivating. It feels less like a gift and more like a cage. You find yourself procrastinating, not out of laziness, but out of a deep, subconscious rebellion against the tyranny of your own competence. You are a master of a craft that no longer nourishes you. And here is the hidden cost, the quiet tragedy of this state. It is a slow and steady death of the self. The curse of the capable doesn't just make you bored, it makes you smaller. Each passionless victory chips away at the part of you that is curious, the part that yearns for growth, the part that is willing to risk looking like a fool for the chance to learn something true. You have become a reliable machine. But you have forgotten how to be a living, breathing, struggling human being. Your world has become safe, predictable, and suffocatingly small. Visuals of a modern-day artist in a sterile studio, mechanically painting. An office worker staring blankly at a screen filled with code. The images are desaturated, reflecting the inner state of the subject. Then, a sharp cut back to the raw, vibrant, and dangerous world of the Vikings. ## Phase 3. Solution. In the brutal, unforgiving world of the 11th century, there is a man who offers a violent, laughing antidote to this modern malady. He is a giant, a Jomsviking of legendary strength, a man who seems more myth than flesh and blood. His name is Thorkell. And his secret is not in his strength, but in his philosophy. Thorkell has discovered what so many of us have lost, the joy of the process itself. He is perhaps the purest example of a human being who lives in a state of what modern psychology calls flow, or what the ancient philosophers might have called ataraxia, a peace born not of tranquility, but of complete engagement in the moment. To understand Thorkell's mind is to understand a radical reordering of purpose. He provides us with a blueprint for breaking the curse of the capable. Let us distill his worldview into 3 core principles. Principle 1. The divorce of process from outcome. For most people, a struggle, be it a battle, a project, or a personal goal, is a means to an end. The purpose of the fight is victory. The purpose of the work is the finished product. The outcome is everything. For Thorkell, this is an impoverished way to live. He has severed the cord between the act of fighting and the reason for fighting. He doesn't fight for a king, or for a country, or even for glory. He fights for the fighting. The outcome, victory or defeat, life or death, is secondary. It is a mere consequence, an afterthought. The true reward is found in the moment-to-moment experience of testing his limits, of feeling the surge of adrenaline, of engaging in the deadly dance with a skilled opponent. Think of it this way. A hiker who only cares about the summit will spend the entire journey in a state of impatient anxiety, his eyes fixed on a distant goal. But a hiker who loves the hiking, the feel of the earth under his boots, the rhythm of his own breathing, the changing light through the trees, finds his reward in every single step. Thorkell is a man who finds his reward in every swing of his axe. He has made the journey his destination. Principle 2. The sacred pursuit of the worthy opponent. Because Thorkell's goal is not to win, but to be fully engaged, he does not seek easy victories. An easy victory is a hollow, boring affair. It teaches him nothing. It offers no thrill. Instead, he actively seeks the most difficult challenge he can find. He craves the worthy opponent. Notice his reaction when he first faces Thorfinn. This small, lightning-fast boy who is his sworn enemy. He is not filled with rage or contempt. He is filled with a childlike glee. When Thorfinn manages to wound him, to draw his blood, he does not curse him. He roars with laughter and praises him. Magnificent. In our world, we are taught to avoid obstacles, to find the path of least resistance. Thorkell teaches us the opposite. The obstacle is the path. The worthy opponent is not an enemy to be vanquished. They are a partner in the dance of self-discovery. They are the whetstone against which you sharpen your own soul. A great challenge is a gift, because it is the only thing that can pull the absolute best out of you. Without a worthy opponent, your skills atrophy. You are a grand ship built for a mighty ocean, left to rot in a shallow pond. Principle 3. The embrace of the joyful struggle. Finally, and most crucially, Thorkell's approach to conflict is fundamentally playful. The German philosopher Friedrich Schiller spoke of the play drive, the human impulse to engage in activity for its own sake, to find freedom and beauty in a state of play. Thorkell's violence is an expression of this drive. It is, for him, the ultimate game. He smiles and laughs in the heat of battle not because he is a sadist who enjoys the suffering of others, but because he is a master who enjoys the supreme expression of his craft. He is an artist, and the battlefield is his canvas. This is the most challenging principle for us to grasp. How can something so brutal be a form of play? But consider a master chess player, lost in a complex match. Or a surgeon, performing a delicate, life or death operation. At their peak, they are not thinking about winning or losing, fame or failure. They are in a state of pure, focused presence. They are playing the game at its highest possible level. Thorkell simply plays the game he knows best. He has stripped the struggle of its ego, its politics, its hatred, and its fear. What remains is a pure, unadulterated, and terrifying joy. The joy of being supremely alive in a moment that could very well be his last. Visually, we see a powerful metaphor. A shot of a blacksmith hammering a glowing piece of steel. The focus is not on the finished sword, but on the rhythmic impact, the flying sparks, the sweat on the smith's brow. The beauty is in the act of creation, the violent, fiery process. Phase 4. The application this philosophy of the joyful struggle is not confined to the Viking Age. It is a timeless psychological framework that we can apply to break the curse of the capable in our own lives. It requires a conscious shift in perspective. It requires practice. Here are 4 concrete steps to integrate Thorkell's mindset into your own world, to turn your tedious obligations into worthy battles. Step 1. Identify your true battlefield. Tonight, sit down with a piece of paper. Ask yourself this question. Where in my life do I feel the curse of the capable most acutely? Be honest. Is it your job? Is it a creative project that has become a chore? Is it your fitness routine? Is it even a relationship where the patterns have become stale and predictable? This area of passionless competence is your London Bridge. It is the place where you have been winning small, meaningless victories for far too long. Name it. Acknowledge it. This is the ground where you will learn to fight differently. Step 2. Seek out your worthy opponent. Now, for that chosen battlefield, you must redefine the enemy. Your opponent is not your boss, your client, or your creative block. That is thinking too small. The worthy opponent is a challenge that demands more from you. It is a principle of resistance that will force you to grow. If you are a writer, your worthy opponent is not the deadline. It is the single most honest sentence you can write, even if it takes you all day. If you are a programmer, your opponent is not the bug report. It is the search for the most elegant, efficient solution, not just the one that works. If you are learning a language, your opponent is not the vocabulary list. It is a 5-minute conversation with a native speaker where you embrace the awkwardness and risk misunderstanding. Frame the challenge not as a problem to be solved, but as a respected adversary. Give it a name. Personify it. Your goal is not to crush it, but to dance with it so skillfully that it brings out a version of you that you have not met yet. Step 3. Define a process-based victory. This is the most critical step. Before you engage in your task, you must explicitly reject the old definition of success. The outcome is no longer your primary goal. Instead, define and write down what a beautiful fight would look like, entirely based on the process. Your new victory conditions might be: did I remain fully focused and present for 1 uninterrupted hour? Did I try a new, more difficult technique, even if it failed? Did I push through the initial wall of frustration without distracting myself? Did I ask a question I was afraid to ask? Did I do the work with an attitude of curiosity instead of obligation? Measure your success by the quality of your engagement, not the quality of your result. A spectacular failure that taught you something is now more valuable than a mediocre success that taught you nothing. Step 4. Practice the art of good-humored defeat. When you are learning to walk, you fall. You do not curse the floor. You do not despair. Perhaps you cry for a moment, but then you get up and try again. As we grow older, we forget this. We become terrified of falling, of looking foolish. Thorkell's laughter in the face of being wounded is our guide. When you fail, when your code doesn't compile, when your writing feels clumsy, when you fail to persuade, your task is to practice a new reaction. Instead of shame or anger, try curiosity. Ask, so that didn't work. How interesting. What can I learn from this? Try respect. Acknowledge the difficulty of the task. This is a worthy opponent indeed. And sometimes, try humor. Laugh at your own limitations, at the absurdity of your ambition. A good, honest laugh in the face of defeat is an act of supreme psychological freedom. It declares that your self-worth is not tied to the outcome. It is tied to your courage to show up and fight the good fight. The visuals shift to a montage of modern, relatable struggles, but reframed. A marathon runner, exhausted, smiles through the pain, focusing only on their next step. A scientist stares at a complex equation on a whiteboard, not with frustration, but with intense, focused curiosity. A chef carefully plates a dish, absorbed in the craft, not the eventual review. Phase 5. The proof. Does this philosophy actually work? Does it create a superior warrior, a more effective creator, a more resilient human being? The story of Thorkell, and the science of human performance, give a resounding yes. Consider Thorkell's decision-making. He is a force of chaos precisely because he is not bound by conventional goals. Why does he abandon the Danes and join the English at the start of the war? Not for money, not for land, not for political allegiance. He joins them because they offer a better fight. He chooses the path of greatest resistance because that is where he feels most alive. Later, why does he join Prince Canute, a weak and unassuming boy? Because he sees in Canute's camp the seeds of the most interesting, unpredictable, and glorious battle to come. His entire life is a pilgrimage from one worthy opponent to the next. This focus on the process makes him unpredictable, terrifyingly effective, and, paradoxically, free. He is a slave to no king and no cause, only to his own love of the struggle. This is not mere fantasy. There is a powerful real-world parallel in the work of the psychologist Csikszentmihalyi. He spent decades studying what he called the autotelic experience, or flow. He studied artists, athletes, scientists, and mystics, and found that the moments of their greatest happiness and peak performance were not moments of passive relaxation. They were moments of complete absorption in a challenging task. The conditions for flow are a perfect reflection of Thorkell's psychology. 1. A clear set of goals and progress. 2. Clear and immediate feedback. 3. A balance between the perceived challenges and one's own perceived skills. When these conditions are met, the ego falls away. Time becomes distorted. The action and the actor merge. This is the state Thorkell lives in. He is not a brute, he is a master of achieving and sustaining a state of optimal human consciousness. He has simply found his flow in the most violent arena imaginable. The logic is undeniable. By detaching your ego from the outcome, you liberate yourself from the fear of failure. And without the fear of failure, you are free to take risks. You are free to experiment. You are free to push your boundaries and perform at the absolute peak of your ability. You stop trying to protect your reputation as a capable person, and you start becoming a truly masterful one. You trade the brittle armor of competence for the fluid strength of genuine engagement. The final proof is a slow-motion shot of Thorfinn, a look of pure focus on his face, as he lands a decisive blow on Thorkell. And Thorkell's reaction is not pain, but a wide, astonished, and joyous smile. It is the smile of a master who has finally been met by an equal. Phase 6. The call to action. Thorkell's joy is a challenge to all of us who feel trapped by our own abilities. It asks us to look at the struggles in our lives not as burdens to be endured, but as opportunities to feel truly alive. It is a demanding philosophy, but a liberating one. So now, I turn the question to you. Look at your life, at your work, at your ambitions. In the comments below, tell us, what is your worthy opponent? What is the challenge you face that you can choose to reframe, not as a source of stress, but as a chance for a beautiful struggle? We read every response. If you believe, as we do, that these old stories are not just entertainment, but maps to navigate the wilderness of our own hearts, then you have found a home here. Join our parish of wanderers and thinkers. Subscribe to the Farmland Preacher. Thorkell represents one archetype of the warrior, the one who finds joy in the storm. But for everyone like him, there are 1,000 who are broken by it, who must use cunning and tragedy as their weapons. To understand the shadow of Thorkell's light, you must understand the man who was his opposite. We invite you to continue your journey by watching our analysis of the brilliant and broken tactician, Askeladd, the tragedy of a crownless king. The link is on your screen now. Thank you for your time. Walk the hard path. The video ends on a final, lingering shot. Thorkell, alone on the battlefield again, looks up at the gray sky, a single snowflake landing on his face. He closes his eyes, a feeling of deep, contented peace settling over him.